in, the blood will get it. Okay? The excess gas that the body does not require, okay, it will be exhaled. Again, it will be exhaled again by our body. And then we breathe, okay, we inhale and we exhale. We can breathe because our muscle diaphragm is the one responsible in our breathing. Okay, so that is the process of our respiration. It's very simple. It's not that complex compared to your heart. Again, how is the process? Okay, it starts when we inhale air. Okay, as we inhale air, okay, the air will pass in our nose. Correct? Inside our nose, we have hair. Okay, those hair will filter the air that we breathe in. Yeah. Once the hair filter the air from the nose, it goes down to your trachea or your windpipe. Okay, from the trachea to your windpipe. Okay, the air will your trachea will also filter the air. Once the trachea filter the air, it goes down to your bronchi. Okay, your bronchi has cilia. Okay, those cilia are hair-like particles which actually filters the air as well, and it pushes to the mucus. Okay, before the air will enter our lungs. Okay, once the air enters our lungs, okay, we have your air sacs, okay, called your alveoli, okay, your alveoli, okay, where gas exchange happen. What is the exchange, sir? Okay, the blood will get all the oxygen and the excess air or the gases that our body will not require, we will exhale them. Okay, we will exhale all the carbon dioxide in our body, and then we inhale and we exhale. We can breathe because our diaphragm is the muscle responsible in our breathing process. Okay, so that is the process of our respiratory system. Okay, that's how respiration works. Okay, that is how breathing works. Okay, it starts with your nose. Okay, once the air enters your nose, okay, we have hair inside our nose. Those hair inside our nose will filter the air before it goes down to your trachea. In our trachea or our windpipe, okay, the air will also be filtered. Once filtered, it goes down to your bronchi. Okay, in our bronchi, we have your cilia, okay, your hair-like particles, which also filters the air and pushes the air to our mucus before it enters your lungs. Okay, inside our lungs, we have your air sacs called your bronchi or called your alveoli, where gas exchange happens. Okay, so your alveoli, okay, where gas exchange happen. So what is the gas exchange? Your blood that comes from the heart will get all the oxygen in the lungs, and then all the excess gas, we exhale them, we remove them in our body by the process of exhalation. Okay, we breathe in, we can inhale, we can breathe because our diaphragm, it is the muscle responsible of our breathing. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, aside from those people who explained the heart earlier, okay, I need to have volunteers to discuss this respiratory system. All of you will have the chance to discuss with a different system. Now, I need volunteers who can discuss how the respiration works. We break down the food into much smaller particles to the smallest form possible. Okay, now, inside our small intestine, majority of the food are now being absorbed by our body. It can because it has already undergo a lot of breaking down, okay? So inside the small intestine, a lot of food particles can now be distributed to our body, but not all, okay? The food that is not absorbed by our body, from the small intestine, it goes to our large intestine, okay? But the large intestine is very choosy, okay? The large intestine will only absorb what? The large intestine will only absorb water, okay? And then the food that is not absorbed by the large intestine, it goes down to your rectum, okay? And then from the rectum, that is where we go to the washroom. Okay, that's the poo-poo. Okay, the food that is not absorbed by our body, we actually tend to poo. Okay, the stool. Okay, that's the poo-poo that we actually go to the washroom. Okay, those are your food that. Okay, so how do digestion start? Okay, it starts with our mouth, with the process of your chewing. Okay, chewing is the first mechanical digestion. Okay, chewing is the first mechanical digestion. Okay, with the help of our teeth and our saliva, the food that we have eaten will be broken down into smaller particles. Okay, once broken down into smaller particles with the process of chewing, okay, the tongue will push the food to our esophagus, okay. Inside our esophagus, okay, the food will also break down into smaller more particles, and that process is called your peristalsis, okay. Then after the esophagus break down the food into smaller particles, it goes down to your stomach. The food now inside the stomach will stay for 4 hours. Okay, inside our stomach, we have your hydrochloric acid and your pepsin. So what are the significance of your pepsin and your hydrochloric acid? Your hydrochloric acid, guys, will actually kill the bacteria that comes along with the food that we have eaten. Okay, now the pepsin, on the other hand, will break down the food into much smaller particles. So in the stomach, guys, there are some food that can be now absorbed by our body, but not all. Okay, the food that is not absorbed by our body inside the stomach is called our chyme. Okay, after 4 hours, the chyme will be transferred from our stomach to our small intestine. Now, what happened inside our small intestine? This is where our helping organs will help. Okay, the liver, okay, will produce bile. Okay, and that bile will be stored in the gallbladder. So, what is the significance of the bile? The bile will go to the small intestine to break down the fats that we have eaten. Now, what about the pancreas? The pancreas, on the other hand, will actually create or will produce a lot of enzymes, and those enzymes will break down the food inside the small intestine to the most smallest particles possible. Okay? Now, on the small intestine, a lot of the food can now be absorbed by our body, but not all again. The food that is not absorbed by our body, okay, from the food, okay, from the small intestine, it goes to our large intestine. Now, from the large intestine, okay, the large intestine is very picky or very choosy. The large intestine will only what? Absorb water, correct? So from the large intestine, it goes down to your rectum. And then from the rectum, that is actually the stool, okay, that we actually remove from our body. The stool or the poo-poo, okay, or the poo that we actually remove from our body, okay? That is the process of your digestion. Now you know after eating, you know how the food is being digested. The process that the food undergoes through before it will be absorbed by our body. Okay? Is it clear, guys? Have I discussed the digestion system very clearly? Or do you want me one more time?
One more time, sir.
Okay, one more time. And then I'll ask someone now, okay? Okay, now, the digestion happens, it starts with your mouth, okay? The first mechanical digestion happens inside the mouth, your teeth, and your saliva. The food is break down into smaller particles. Okay. Once the teeth and the saliva break down the food into smaller particles, the tongue will push the food to your esophagus. Okay. Inside our esophagus, we also have the food is also break down into smaller particles, and that process is called your peristalsis. Okay. Once the food was break down into smaller particles in the stomach, the food now will travel to your stomach. Okay. From in the stomach, the food will stay for 4 hours. Okay. So what happens inside our stomach? Okay. Inside our stomach, we have your hydrochloric acid and your pepsin. Okay. Hydrochloric acid, what will it do? The hydrochloric acid will actually what? Kills the bacteria that comes along with our food. Then how about your pepsin? Your pepsin, on the other hand, actually what? Your pepsin will break down the food into much smaller particles. As I have mentioned, in the stomach, there are some food that can now be absorbed by our body, but not all. The food that is not absorbed by our body, it's called our child. That child, after 4 hours, will go to our small intestine. Inside our small intestine, okay, while the food is inside our small intestine, the helping organs will actually help digest the food. Okay, so who will help them? The liver will produce bile, and the bile is stored in the gallbladder, and the bile will actually what? Break down the fats inside the small intestine. Okay. Now, another helping organ, your pancreas, will produce a lot of enzymes so that the food in the small intestine will be break down into the smallest possible ever. Okay, so in the small intestine, the food, majority of the food can now be absorbed by our body, but not all. The food not absorbed from the food not absorbed by our body will be transferred from the small intestine going to our large intestine. Now, our large intestine is very picky or choosy. Okay, the large intestine will only absorb water. Okay, and the rest will be transferred to our rectum, going to our anus, and then going to the washroom or to the stool or the poop that we have excreted. Okay, so that is the process of your digestion. Okay, I hope it is clear. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, now let's try